My journey with the unexplained began when I was 5. My name is Amber, and I'm a physical medium. She was crushed, her chest and her throat, and then the breathing stopped. And the dead come to me for help.
He also slithers around and shows himself as different things, like shapeshifts.
He jumps out of the water and takes people back into the water. And he drowns them and kills them. Come along with me and step into my world. Welcome to Amber's Paraworld. It's Christmas Eve, 1945, in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder wanted nothing more than to be awoken on Christmas morning by their 9 children to the excitement of presents left under the tree from Santa. They tucked their kids in bed and fell asleep, but only to be awakened to heat and smoke. Their home was being consumed by fire. They managed to grab 4 of the 9 kids and barely escaped the blaze with their lives. 5 of the children were still trapped inside of this burning structure. Their 2 sons, 14-year-old Maurice and 9-year-old Louis, along with their 3 daughters, which included 12-year-old Martha, 8-year-old Jenny, and 5-year-old Betty, didn't make it outside. Their 5 children had been sleeping on a second-floor bedroom. The police, firefighters, and a coroner's jury declared the 5 children deceased in the blaze. Future details arose, making this tragedy a cold case to this very day. The police never found any bones or teeth of any of the Sodder children. Upon hearing this information and receiving advice from a crematorium employee who told Jenny that bodies are burned for 2 hours at 2,000 degrees, that the bones will still remain, Jenny was convinced her children were kidnapped and the fire had been set on purpose. Her husband George, against the fire marshal's orders, plowed over the land where the house had sat, and he planted flowers in memory of his children. In the 1950s, they put up a billboard with photos of their missing children and offered a $5,000 cash reward. This billboard stayed along State Route 16 until Jenny's death in 1989. Information has also surfaced that on that fateful Christmas Eve night in 1945, their phone lines had actually been cut from the pole and were not burned like they'd been originally told. A bus driver who was working the late shift and had driven by the Sodder home that night had came forward and said he had seen fireballs being tossed onto the roof of their home. A motel worker in Charleston, West Virginia had reported seeing the children the morning after the fire, as well as a hotel owner claiming to have seen the 4 youngest children with Italian-speaking adults a week after the blaze, also located in Charleston, which is approximately 50 miles from the Sodder home. One of Jenny and George's children had found a napalm bomb in the ash of the home about 3 weeks after the fire. Army authorities had tested this and identified this as a napalm bomb and called it a pineapple. The fire had been determined to have started on the roof. The napalm bomb and the eyewitness bus driver's claims of seeing fireballs would verify this determination. Before this fateful night, George Sodder had ties to the Italian mafia. He was Italian, and he had recently spoken out publicly against Benito Mussolini surrounding his fascist government. Federal investigators had looked into this theory that the mafia had something to do with this fire or played a role in the children's disappearances, and they claimed they came up empty-handed. To this day, the Sodder children's case remains unsolved. I will be traveling to the site of the 1945 Christmas Eve tragedy in hopes of trying to find out what happened to the children. I will be conducting a walkthrough and doing a psychic investigation.